My name's Antonio Colon. I'm from Port Jervis High School and I'm graduating senior.
My name's Chase Porter. I'm from Warwick Valley High School and I'm a graduating senior.
My name is Dante Piacelli. I'm from Menacing Valley and I'm a graduating senior.
My name is Eric Batista. I'm a graduating senior for Menacing Valley High School.
My name is Brian Travis. I'm from Middleton High School. I'm a graduating senior.
My name is Elias Nair. I'm from Warwick High School and I'm a graduating senior.
I'm Miguel Sola. I'm from Pine Bush and I'm a graduating senior.
I'm Jaden Godinez-Nedzi. I'm a graduating senior at Middleton High School.
I'm Abraham Santelisis. I'm a graduating senior at Pine Bush High School.
And we have your teacher with us.
I'm Mr. Moore, and I graduated senior about 35 years ago.
So we're wondering, first off, how did Boces in this program get involved in building tiny houses for homeless veterans?
It's funny, in the interview with Mr. Wetzel, he said, some guy just called me, and that's exactly how it played out. I had an adult ed student that wanted to give back to the veterans. She was a veteran herself, and very limited on time, we did a little research online, and we found the Rumshock Foundation. And the next day I came in and I looked on the website and made a phone call, and the guy answered on the other end, and I was like, hey, my name's Corey Moore, I'm from Orange-Ulster Boces, and we'd like to build your tiny houses. And his response said it all. As soon as I heard his response, I was hooked. He was like, are you kidding me? He said, I've been waiting, I've been praying for somebody to offer to do this for me. So I heard the enthusiasm in his voice. I had never met him, but just through the enthusiasm, I was like, I have to take part in this. It's something that we have to do.
That's really awesome that you sought out to be involved instead of someone coming to you. That's really great. And that sounds like Bill. He said he prays for everything and it comes to him.
Yeah. So we had started, and when I started here in '97, we had property on Gibson Road, and the students used to come in, get their lessons, and then we would build the houses right on site. But we ran out of property over time. We built Habitat for Humanity homes. We've done a lot of different projects, but looking for the consistency and something we could give back to the community, the houses were perfect for us.
So that was my next question. And looking at these students, like they start from nothing. There's nothing there. You get the materials and they start. And does that make any of you worried that you couldn't accomplish something like that from nothing? What does it feel like to start a house? Does anybody remember exactly how it felt to start that project?
What did you think the first day when we went down there? Do you think it's possible?
Yeah.
What skills did you need?
Everything we learned.
Everything you learned, right? So there's no prerequisites for the carpentry class. We have students that come in that are already working in the field, their parents are contractors, and then we have students that have never done this before. So there's no prerequisite. We start with measuring and we finish with a turnkey home. So I think most of them felt pretty confident. They had the skills that we needed, measure, marking, and cutting, blueprint reading. I mean, these students all drew their own blueprints for the small houses that you see in the background. So I'm coming back as seniors, they already had that behind them.
And do you start as freshmen?
No.
Juniors.
Yeah. Yes and no?
Juniors.
Juniors. Wow, in a short time.
2 years.
Wow. So you've built other houses. I know Boces is very proud to be involved in this project. I know some of the administrators are here to support even having this filming done, and I know that the enthusiasm is here like from the start. So what is the feeling and what is being said about this huge contribution to helping homeless veterans?
I'll speak first and then I'll get these folks speaking. But for me personally, I'm too old to serve. I mean, by the time it came to me that it was something I could do, I've aged out. So that's the only way that I can give back. And without serving, what else can you do? You have to give back to the people that served. From a family of people that have served, grandfathers, both sides of my family were in World War II. And seeing what they've accomplished in their lifetime after having to deal with that at a very young age, this is the least I can do. So Eric, I'll ask you, how does it make you feel to know that this home we're building is going to a homeless veteran?
It feels good. It feels good to help people with what we can learn. It feels good to know that we can use the stuff here to actually contribute to the community.
And Antonio, being from Port Jervis, how does it make you feel knowing that on that property that you're going to drive by, probably for the rest of your life going back to visit, that there's going to be a home there that you built?
I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool.
Does anyone in here know any veterans or homeless veterans?
My father's a veteran.
Your father's a veteran.
My grandfather is a veteran.
A veteran.
My brother's a veteran.
So you're familiar with what a veteran does and is, for sure. So what is the scope of this project? I believe it's 10 houses that you're building?
Yeah, so when we started in September with this group, we didn't have a place that we could offer to build these tiny homes. So what I want a lot of people to understand is the first thing this group did is built the inside of the barn that the houses are being built in. So they spend a lot of time, and we'll go down, you'll see it in a bit, but they spent a lot of time putting up a lot of metal inside of the barn this winter with no heat to get it ready for the tiny homes to come. And the scope is as many as we can do. If there's more, we'll do more. I mean, we teach framing in the first year, we teach interior and exterior finish in the second, so it's a perfect project for us. So this house is framed currently, but as long as we have it on our property, we'll continue to work on it.
Anybody remember the feeling of being in the barn when it was good and cold getting this ready?
It was terrible. I dreaded it.
I'm used to the cold, so it didn't really bother me.
Did it take quite a long time to get ready?
It did. There's a lot of steel. You'll see when we go down there, and it has very high ceilings, so to work at heights, being in safety harnesses and using man lifts and stuff that's new to the students. So it took a little while, but once we got moving, they did a great job.
So how many students and staff are involved overall from Boces in this whole project? I see
So
9.
I have 24 juniors in the afternoon class, and I have 16 seniors in the morning that have contributed.
Wow.
So
30.
So being the end of the school year, fourth quarter is pretty much over. This is the students that the diehards that are coming to the last day. Some of the other ones have finals at their home schools. They have regents, stuff that they have to take care of.
So is it voluntary that they're here today?
Well, it's kind of one of those things that they should be here. We take attendance to the 13th, but we also understand that they're graduating seniors that have other obligations that they need to take care of.
Oh, definitely glad that they're all here. Thank you for being here. So how do you personally feel about participating in the project? So if we could just start and go around, like your thoughts on being part of, I mean, eventually these houses are going to be filled with veterans that never had a home or haven't had a home in a long time. So besides the work of accomplishing a beautiful home, like knowing where it's going, like we're just wondering how you as a young person feel about it.
I like the fact that the building I'm building goes to the veterans.
I'm happy that it's going towards a good cause and that the veterans deserve more than what we give them, I think. So I think this is a great cause for this. And it also gives us experience doing stuff in class and not just building models.
I'm happy that we're giving back to the community. And I think it's really cool for me because I've never built anything like this. And it's some good experience.
It's a good experience. I'm glad I can give back to people who've given so much to us.
It feels good to help people in need.
I like that we are building it and getting the experience from it, like everybody else said. And I also like that when you think about like where it's gonna go, you have it in the back of your mind. I'm not just building this for a grade. I'm building this for other people too.
And
It's all good, bud. You can pass it.
For me, I think it was a really good experience. It's not something normal, and like my father's a veteran, so giving back to people that he may have been there with or something like that feels good to know.
I feel like for us it's a good wraparound of our careers, like learning new things, how to build houses fully complete. And for the veterans it's great because we can help everybody out and make everybody happy.
I think a lot of times we take advantage, or, you know, we take it for granted that we have a nice warm home to go to with a meal on the table and we're not struggling to get through. Watching a few videos about the tiny home projects that are starting to happen all around the United States, one of the common themes that I heard was working homeless. And I'm thinking, here's a veteran that put their life on the line for us, and now they're homeless, but they work. They go to work every day, but they're homeless. And just to think how much more productive they'll be as individuals if they have a roof over their head. You know, they know where they're going to sleep that night, not just trying to get by, but thriving.
So you're really investing in their future, the success of their own future.
Agreed.
So how are the homes planned, designed, and blueprinted? So I'm picturing like a bunch of boards and things. They need to turn into a home.
So we had built modular houses here in the past that got shipped over to Newburgh for Habitat for Humanity. So William Wetzel hooked me up with an architect, Ted O'Donnell, and we talked on the phone, we emailed back and forth, and he had asked me how we built the modular homes to be moved. So I shared that information with him. With that, he drew the plans, Access Architecture, out of Greenwood Lake, drew the blueprints, sent them over to us, we looked them over, and once everybody was happy with the design, we started ordering materials through Never Sink Lumber in Port Jervis. Jim Rona reached out and said he would do everything he could to get the materials, you know, as cheap as possible or donated and discounted, and he's been working on that. So it's worked out well. We estimate the materials in the classroom. We order the materials from Neversink, and they get delivered right to the barn where we're going to build. Mr. Wetzel and Mr. Roner work the magic behind the scenes, so it's kind of like Christmas for us. We ask and it shows up. So it's been a blessing.
So they're being built here and they'll be transported in sections, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And what's involved in that transport and placing it on something when you arrive on the scene?
So how big are the buildings?
20 by 20. 20 by 20, and right now they're 10 by 20.
So we're building two 10 by 20 sections. Another cool story, we host a Guard X Day here every year where the National Guard comes. We had, what was it, 2 weeks ago? Where they come and they set up all their apparatus in the parking lot. The students get to go out and talk to the National Guard. They get to see what they have to offer. And we were talking with Sergeant Rivera, and he said, how are you moving these houses? And I was like, I'm not sure. He's like, I'll move them for you. So just out of the blue, by having a conversation, he's like, we'll move him. And I couldn't think of a better way of a tiny home for a homeless vet getting delivered on a National Guard truck. It's just one more blessing that fell out of the sky.
Kind of a full circle.
Full circle.
Can you describe a typical house?
I'll let these folks.
I picture the house I live in. I'm sure it's not like that.
Well, a typical house is like 3 times the size of the tiny houses. And there's a lot more open floor plans. All the beams are heavier to get around. That's my part.
So what's in one of these houses? You guys laid it out?
It's the same thing as a normal house, just on a smaller scale. It's, right? It's the same materials, I'd say.
How many bedrooms?
1.
1 bedroom, 2 closets, I believe.
2 what? Closets?
2 closets, a front door, back door.
Small kitchenette, small living room, but a nice, cozy, safe place to call your own.
And are they all the same, or are there different styles?
At the moment, we're going to go with doing them all the same, so there's not another cost of drawing another set of plans, but at any moment, a change would be fine. I mean, we've already talked about ways to try to maybe build them a little bit cheaper possibly and still be able to haul down the road, because we're always looking to get the most out of the money that's there. But as far as the layout, from what we're currently going with, they're going to be 10 of the same.
And do they have a porch on them? Because I know it's by a stream.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. They do have a porch that's going to be built once they get there, but that on site there'll be a foundation for these buildings to sit on. But one of the cool things about them, you guys have to tell them about the roof.
About
It's
the
like a slight angle for,
What's the pitch?
Isn't it an 1/8 inch on 12?
An 1/8 inch on 12, so pretty much flat, and what's gonna be on it?
like some type of material for growing crops and stuff.
So it's gonna be a live roof. So it's a very slightly pitched roof that's gonna be a live roof, so it'll have growing material on top that the rainwater can slowly go through to gather nutrients to go towards hydroponics where they'll grow vegetables with the water.
Wow.
I've never built one before, it's my first one, so I'm kind of excited. I see it on the blueprint, but I haven't seen it in person, so it's kind of exciting.
We knew that there was something with hydroponics, but we thought that it was a different building where they would grow plants.
Right.
But they're actually growing them on their houses.
So the water running through these shallow pitched roofs with the sod or the moss, whatever they're gonna grow on top, can gather what it needs, so they can use that water to grow vegetables, whatever they need. And also full solar array will be on them as well. So the roofs are very shallow pitch, and then they're gonna be able to add solar too. So they're gonna be pretty much self-sustaining homes.
Keeping up with the future. So the process of, and steps in building the tiny home, you kind of went over that, like what you need to do. And how the materials and products you said are being supplied through Port Jervis, through Roner. What has been the biggest challenge that you've run into, if you've run into any since the beginning?
Space.
Anybody found any challenges?
Space.
The space of it. It's like it's not normal than a different house. They're so much smaller, so it's like you have less space to put stuff. Like the kitchen, like it's a very smaller kitchen, bathroom, so it's different.
The space inside these tiny homes.
So when you're working with a group this large, it's hard to get 24 kids working on half of a tiny house. But you guys go ahead. Anything else that we've run into?
In the barn, the floor is at a slight pitch, like a slight level, and we had to work with that. Like in the pictures up there, we kind of had to set it up to make sure that it's
Level.
it's more level, like part of why we set it up, and that was kind of a challenge to deal with.
So the floor of the garage that we're building in is sloped towards the doors on purpose, so anything that would possibly spill will go out of the building. Heavy equipment does get parked in there too sometimes, so it's part of the plan to have the floor pitched. But now when you're trying to build a house level on a pitched floor, the first thing we had to do was build, I call them Disney walls, they're crooked walls, to make the house level on top of an unlevel floor.
Wow.
Which I think was a good learning experience. How we did it, but again, a challenge. And what are we running into now as far as restrictions?
Height.
Right, because of the garage door.
So we built the houses about 33 inches off the floor on walls so we can get a trailer underneath them to transport them. So having the 33 inches, then the houses were starting to encroach, getting too high to build on. But we'll fix that when we get there. We can lower them down, build on them, pull them outside. So the first one's the hardest one. After that, it'll be a breeze. So just working through some labor pains, I guess you'd call them, with the first one.
So how do you get through that? Do you brainstorm or?
Normally we do. Past experience, talk to other people, what have you done? Being that we built the modular houses, I'm kind of familiar with how they're going to get moved. Even though they're smaller, it's still, an oversized load going down the road, so we do have height restrictions. But yeah, talking to people, looking on the websites, New York State compliant to travel down the road, what is the highest it can be, and how are we going to make this possible, so.
Like this gentleman said, it's just scaled down from a regular house, just more challenging.
Sure.
Have any of you been to the Brookside site where these homes will go? You've seen it, you've gone past it, right? You're from Port Jervis? You've gone
I
past?
have no idea if I have.
Do you know where it is?
No.
Do you know where Dunkin' Donuts is? Everybody knows where Dunkin' Donuts is. So right next door, where all of that big mess is right now with all the excavating and
Oh.
right there, where the Dunkin' Donuts used to be, it's right across the street. Yeah.
I've been there a few times. Every time I go by, I snap another picture just so I can keep the progress.
Yeah. It's right along the brook. Like, this is, when Stan first thought of the site, he called Bill Wetzel. And so actually it's sort of the history of that. And he said, we have a lot of homeless veterans in America, and we have a site that's for sale, and we know the people, and the man that owned it passed away, but he was a veteran. And he said to the owner, the wife, the widow, he said, would you consider selling it for little tiny homes for veterans? And then we reached out to Bill, and it's got a brook that goes right along the back of it. So the houses that were there were falling down. They were beat up little cabins that they used to rent out. And they had little porches on it, and they were by the brook, and you could just sit there for the calm and peace, which a lot of these veterans need. So if you get a chance and you go to Port Jervis, as soon as you come into the city, it's right there by the brook, right next to Dunkin' Donut. So what are your families saying about this? Are your families aware of what you're doing?
Yeah, I told my dad about it. He's pretty happy about it because he's a veteran also. But he thinks it's a great idea. He also thinks it's a good learning experience for me. But I think it's a great idea.
And friends and family, anybody hearing about it? If not, you will.
I personally love talking about it. I'm a big believer in everything that I do is just going to lead me to the next step. So I've gone places I've never been before because of these tiny houses. I've talked to people I would have never met before, and I started making it a common theme. I just announce it. So I went and spoke at the Warwick Rotary Club. Chase and I went one night, and I just said when I walked into the room, listen, I don't know why I'm here today. I'm going to tell you what I'm up to, but somebody in this room, we're going to make a connection, and we're going to take it to the next level. And it seems like no matter where I go, no matter who I talk to, somebody steps into the picture. So like I said, talking with the National Guard, they're like, oh, we'll move the houses for you. And then when I was at the Warwick Rotary Club, somebody said, oh, I'm an interior designer if you need any help. So it's just putting it in the public eye, going in with enthusiasm. People seem to flock to that. And nobody's looking for anything. We're just giving free information about what we're up to, and it seems like a lot of people want to get involved. From, oh, I have, my husband's a veteran, he's a plumber, he'd left to work on the plumbing. Or, my uncle sells Anderson windows, maybe we can give you a discount on the windows. So to me, it's been amazing. Everywhere I go, people are like, how are the tiny homes coming along? And then on social media too, every time I see a post from Room Shock, I like it, I share it, and then people will comment on it, and it's a great feeling, and really, all we're doing is passing along information. The people are coming out. It's not a matter of us trying to pull it. As soon as you mention it, people start jumping in.
Sometimes good things are contagious.
That's right.
I know that Stan had people reach out to him, and they heard about the houses that you guys are building, and they said, does anybody need a stove in the house? So they're giving 10 stoves. And someone else gave a car for the veterans to share. Somebody else gave something else. So just the fact that you guys are building the houses, it's like, yeah, this is really happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, is this helping you in your education besides being builders? Is this helping you with anything else in your education and getting toward graduation day? Confidence or like skills? Anybody have anything about a connection to other things in your life?
I think actually applying it to a house and not just doing it in here, like not only boosts confidence, but also solidifies what we did learn here. And I feel like more confident if I were to go out, I would be able to do the stuff that we learned here in like a real world setting.
How about community service? Anybody else?
Are you all planning to go into the building field, I'm assuming?
Yeah. This project helped us work as a team. Many of us were cutting, others were measuring, people were marking out where the studs and walls go. It definitely helps communication with a lot of people, and that's really helped me out a lot.
So it's kind of teamwork.
Yeah.
Because there is no I in team.
That's true. That's very wise. So otherwise, is there anything else I should know, or you want people to know about this project that maybe we didn't talk about the houses, about being students building. It's unbelievable that 17 and 18-year-old students are building these houses. It's to me, it's personally amazing. I know it is to Stan too. Is there anything else we should know about getting involved, building houses, helping veterans, accomplishing things like this?
I think for me personally, a lot of times the students just need the self-confidence. I know on open house, I bring parents in here and I put all the tools out that these students use, and a lot of the parents look at the tools and they're like, you let my kid use that? And it's like, absolutely. After the first month of school, all they have to do is ask for the keys. All these tools in here they can use, and that's because that they've proven to me that they can do it safely and efficiently. So having these students at that point is amazing, but we have to get Joe Public to feel the same way about them, or them to step up to have the confidence to move forward. So like just Chase, for instance. Chase, what's your family do for a living?
Oh, we have a carpentry business right out of Pine Island. KP Home Builders. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of them, but
So he leaves here and he goes and frames houses. So for him, maybe it's the community service aspect that he gained from it. But anybody else work in the field? Abe?
My dad owns 2 businesses. He has a contracting business, and then he has a shop down in Newbury called Empire Cabinets and Vanities, and we do a lot of kitchens for everybody.
So he's out there working in the field. And then how about anybody who's never worked in the field until you came here? Right? So we have some first timers as well. And being able to merge them together, it's kind of cool. And like, you know, Abe and Chase are out in the field working, but the self-confidence is what's going to push them forward. And for those who haven't worked in the field or played on a sports team and haven't felt that camaraderie, it's a great experience to get out, work with a group for a common theme, and the fact that it's not getting taken apart. I've heard that, you know, said a few times. It's not just a project in the classroom. It makes a difference when it's going to a good cause.
And what's the time frame? I know the first house you said you're working on now, it's 10 total planned, right?
Right. So there's a little holdup on the Rumshock side. They have an environmental study that they have to get through with the funding that they've got. So what's going to be, we were going to frame this one and get it over there so there'd be a house on site. But because of what's going on with the environmental study, we're just going to keep building. I mean, we have room to build a house in the barn. We can completely finish it, and then once that's done, move it outside, shrink wrap it, and start another one. So it's just a matter of how far we get. I mean, I'm getting a new crop in September. We'll see how they grow. The juniors that I have in the afternoon class, they've been an intricate part as well. They're coming back as seniors, so finishing the inside of that would be right up their alley, right in, fits perfectly in the curriculum.
And the inside will be getting done here or there?
Depending on when they're ready. So when he says he wants the house, we're shipping it as is. If we have it finished by then, amazing. If we don't, that's fine too. They'll finish it on site, because I do believe they want the veterans to volunteer some time on the homes as well. And they also have a contractor working with them over there. So I think having something there is important, and whatever we can do here before it goes is a bonus. But getting them framed so they're windows, doors dried in and then shipped over. Walls are framed minus one window opening that's going to be glass blocks, and we're just waiting on the rough opening for that. But if you look inside the interior, the roofs are framed, and we're at a kind of a standstill being the end of the school year. We have the rough plumbing in the bathrooms. So there's a couple interior partitions in here that we decided not to put in yet, for the simple fact is trying to put the ceiling in with the partitions made it kind of tight. So we have 2 interior walls here that will separate the bedroom from the bathroom. And over on this side, this is pretty much how it will go. There's a large window in the living room area. And then this corner right here is which would be considered the kitchenette, with a small dining table that's going to be in there. So these 2 halves will go together. Once they're together, it will create the whole house, 20 by 20, 400 square feet. And you notice the roof isn't on yet, and that's because of the height constraint that we're working on. So my next step is to lower the houses onto a trailer so we can start working on the roof. And then when the roofs are on, we can pull the houses out here. We have plenty of room outside that we can put them out here, shrink wrap them, and they can sit here until they're ready to go onto the property in Port Jervis.
Excellent.
And like I said, this barn, when we started, there was no walls in the barn. There was no metal on the interior. It was just pretty much like you see here. It's just spray foam. So these students started in September putting all the purlings up that we can fasten the metal to. They put all the metal on the ceiling, all the metal on the walls. We had our electrical students down here. They've run the power to the garage doors, so they're all electrified. And we're getting close to having all the lighting done. There was no heat in the barn, so O&M came down. We had to get a gas supply ran to the building, so now we have heaters in each bay. And these 3 bays that we're in right now are the ones that we have to build in. So we're kind of using this bay as storage for materials and then building in these 2. Yeah. Any questions on what you see here?
No, just a big thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, for sure.
I'm wondering if any of the students had like a favorite part of the building of it. If there was any part that they really weren't crazy about. Like my dad used to always have me cutting little holes and I couldn't stand it. If there's any parts that you really loved or really did not enjoy all that much.
I think the worst part was doing the roof. There's just like no room up there, and
Oh yeah, there's no room.
You have to be skinny.
Yeah. So what we did is we based the height that we built these off the floor based on this trailer that you see in the background. So the ultimate goal is to take the larger tires off that trailer, put smaller tires on it so we can back them underneath, lower the houses onto the trailer, and then when it's time to move the house to Port Jervis, we can just simply put the larger tires back on the trailer. So that's the goal. I've been in touch with a few people and I'm very confident I'll get a trailer from somebody or 2 that we can build them on instead of having to build them like we did here. But the reason we built them off the floor is there is plumbing that goes underneath. There's electrical that goes underneath, so it gives those students an opportunity to go underneath there and work. If we built them on the floor, it would all have to get done over there, so we're trying to get it all as much done here as we can.
I'm just trying to think if there's any way, are you able to go up in there?
Of course.
Like if we could get a picture from here?
Sure.
Being able to see all of you?
Yep, absolutely. You guys want to grab some ladders and jump up in?
Because